Junkie Nation, don't forget, Inside the Matrix goes down on Friday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern, 5:30 a.m. Pacific on BR Live. You can go to ONE FC if you're in another country and you want to see how it will be broadcasted to the world. 4 title fights. What a lineup. It is incredible, and we're catching up with all of the champions. And, of course, on the call this Friday will be our good friend, Michael "The Voice" Schiavello. What's up, Voice? How you been?
George goes, I've been great, guys. I miss you. It's so good to be back on Junkie Radio. I love you guys.
Thank you, man. We love you too. We miss you. We miss going over to the Irish bar over here, McMullen's, and playing trivia on Tuesday night, seeing your face, co-hosting our show over at the Mandalay Bay, and then, of course, just running into you and the lovely Irene all around town, man. You guys are really, really missed, but it's great that we get to catch up right now and we get to preview this card. And, of course, I do want to talk about the book as well, Goodnight Irene. So we're going to get to a lot of that. But, Voice, 4 title fights. Wow, 1 championship. They're not playing around with Inside the Matrix.
Man, I was blown away when they announced this card. They stacked it. I mean, they've stacked it like no card has been stacked before. And why not? This is the big return. I mean, we had the show just recently in Singapore, where I'm at the moment, which was a real litmus test to how it would go, still being in the COVID-19 era. And this is the big one, though. We've got live fans in the arena for the first time. 250 super fans will be there live, on the floor, ringside for this one. 4 title fights, and they're all matches that are so hard to choose on paper. There's no lopsided matches. There's no saying, yeah, this guy's going to win for sure and this guy hasn't got a chance. Everyone has a chance, and there's no greater title than those 4 world titles they're going for. I'm psyched, guys.
The opposition, the challengers, between all 4 of them, there's 3 losses. We have 2 undefeated challengers, 1 with 2 losses in Tan Lee, and then Teo, the young lady, only 1 loss. So formidable opposition for the champs, man. I wonder what that parlay hits. Over here we're in Vegas, we're always thinking about the gambling side of it, but seriously, it looks like every champ has a stiff competition.
And the thing about Teo, you mentioned there, just the 1 loss on her record. The 1 loss was to Zhong Jinnan when Zhong Jinnan won that world title and stopped Tiffany Teo. But I mean, that was almost 3 years ago. And now Tiffany Teo is a whole different breed of martial arts monster. All she's done is gone to the laboratory and work and concoct a formula to beat Zhong Jinnan. No one's beaten Zhong Jinnan yet at strawweight. She's been untouchable. And like you said, George, very few losses amongst all these challengers. Renia Derrida, undefeated. I think it's 12-0. Yuri Lapicus, I think, is 13 or 14-0 with almost 13 or 12 first-round finishes. He is wild. He's crazy. It's just, the level of opposition here for the 4 champions on the card is incredible.
Yeah, and I was wondering if you could – I wanted to take a different approach. We know about the champions. We've got a current champ. Of course, Martin Nguyen, the first ever champ over there at one championship. Christian Lee, 21 years old. Look at what he's accomplished. I mean, we've seen him fight since he was 15. And, of course, the strawweight champion. But maybe you could fill us in a little bit there as well. But starting with the main event, Renia Derrida, undefeated, submissions aplenty for sure. But can you tell us a little bit about his overall skill set and what he brings to the dance?
The thing with Renia is that even though he's renowned for his submissions, and Renia has come out and said without mucking around, not even mincing his words, he said, I'm going to take Ong La down, I'm going to choke him out. He said this a long time ago. He told it to Misha Tate in the center of the circle when Misha interviewed him. He said, I'm going to take Ong La down. I want him. I'll take him down. I'll choke him out. He thinks it's a done deal. I mean, there's no question mark in the head of Renia Derrida at all that this is how he is going to finish Ong Lan Sung. Renia's 12-0, but more than just the submissions that he brings, his BJJ is exquisite. He brings in the Dutch style of kickboxing. We all know how effective that is. The heavy legs, the heavy hands, and the work rate. And the beauty of this one is, from a stand-up perspective, because Ong La has said he will finish Derrida on the feet. But both men bring a Dutch style of kickboxing. Ong La, even though he's from Myanmar, has a Dutch kickboxing style in his stand-up. So on the feet, it's going to be a bang fest. On the ground, in the BJJ, the edge goes to Renier de Ridder. But the wrestling, Onglan Sung. And Ongla can choke you out. Ongla can ground and pound. This is going to be the toughest opponent Onglan Sung has fought yet. And he's fought some rippers, but nobody of the caliber of Renier de Ridder. And guys, the big question mark is, and I think Onglan mentioned this in one of his interviews, when you are undefeated, have you been tested? Have you really been rocked? Have you been rattled? Have you had to come back from getting knocked down? Have you had to come back from getting out of submissions? Has Renier de Ridder ever been tested? No. He's been pushed. Leandro Ataides pushed him right to the limit. Took a lot out of Renier, but he's never really been rattled to the point where he had to get himself recomposed. And there's a lot of question marks about this one. But again, 12-0, a lot of submissions. Man, he's got all the tools necessary, but there's that something you can't put your finger on about Onglan Sung, something intangible. And, you know, if Ongla lands that, what he calls that steel pipe, that right hand on the jaw of Renier de Ridder is going to be tested in a way that nobody has tested him before.
Yeah, and also he's got a nice left hook to the body as well. So I am pumped up about that fight. How about Yuri?
On the left hook to the body, it's a very good pickup by you. And I love your observation because it's a trademark of the Dutch kickboxers. You look at Andy Sauer, K1 Max champion, the dipping left hand to the body. You look at Ernesto Hoost, 4-time K1 World Grand Prix champion, dipping left hand to the body. The Dutch do that left to the body so incredibly well. I do expect to see it. And again, really good pickup. I expect to see it this Friday from Renier de Ridder.
I'm pumped up, voice. Tell us a little bit about Yuri Lapicus.
Man, where do you start? You talk about a guy, what's Yuri? Moldovan, I believe. You talk about a guy from that part of the world. There's so many killers there. I mean, just beasts from that part of the world. They're incredible. But this guy, Lapicus, is other level, man. He has just destroyed people. 14-0, 13 first-round finishes. He gets in there, doesn't waste time, gets you down, chokes you out. Rear naked choke. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just blitzes through people. He doesn't start slowly. There's no filling up process. There's no dipping the toes in the proverbial waters for Yuri Lapicus. And again, you have a real clash of styles because Christian Lee's had his fair share of first-round finishes too, but Christian more recently likes to figure opponents out, likes to methodically and systematically take them apart. He did so against Shinya Aoki to win the title. He did so against the very highly rated and favored Dagi Arslanaliev on short notice to win the lightweight Grand Prix in Tokyo last year. And you wonder, though, what's going to happen in the first 5 minutes? Can Christian Lee, the 22-year-old world champion, weather the first, not even 5 minutes, can he weather the first 2 minutes, the first 90 seconds that Lapicus is going to bring? Because it is hellacious. It's like bull out of the gate. It's like Tasmanian devil wound up and then he comes for you. I mean, Lapicus is just hell-bent on destruction. There's no one like him in one championship. There's no finisher like him with that sort of record in the entire world. I mean, he's nuts. And I'm not sure, and I won't say that because I never write off Christian Lee, ever write off Christian Lee. He can figure everyone out, but I'm not sure how he figures out Yuri Lapicus. He can figure him out. I'm sure he will find a way to figure him out and draw Yuri beyond the first round where Yuri's never gone before, but how is he going to do it? I don't know. I do not know because Lapicus is just, man, striking, ground game, ferociousness, the aggressor meter off the roof for Yuri Lapicus.
Yeah, and again, folks, Christian Lee may only be 21, but he's a lifelong martial artist, and he's got 6 years of competing under his belt. Of course, he, along with Sister Angela Lee, studs over there at One Championship. All right, now one more, and then I'm going to turn it over to Goes. He's got a couple questions, and then we'll come back and finish up with the talking title fights. Martin Nguyen versus Tan Lee. Featherweight title here at stake. We've seen a little bit of Tan Lee in LFA here stateside. And of course, Martin Nguyen, can't say enough about that guy. Knocking people out here, to become featherweight champion. Break that one down for us, please, voice.
Martin Nguyen is one of the most awesome specimens in the martial arts world. Former 2-division champion, still featherweight champion. When he decided to leave Australia and relocate his training camps to the USA in Florida, alongside Ong Lan Sung, with Henry Hooft and all the team there at Sanford MMA, he became a completely different beast. He became a machine. I mean, yes, Martin Nguyen could finish people before that when he was based in Australia, but now he's just got this edge about him, this aggressive, almost maniacal edge that he goes out there to finish, to obliterate opponents. He really does, to obliterate opponents. We've seen him do it so many times. Not only with the trademark overhand right, that's what you've really got to watch on Martin, but the flying knee that he knocked out Jadumba with. I mean, his defense is superb. His ground defense is superb, but this one may not go to ground. Tan Le is a striker. Tan Le's a Taekwondo black belt, Taekwondo champion. Tan Le is riding this incredible winning streak. He's been knocking people out, and he does it with his kicks and then his hands. Tan Le says he's got too many weapons for Martin. He says Martin's never been hit the way I'm going to hit him. There's genuine heat between these two guys. There's been a little bit of a war of words on social media and in various interviews between the two. Tan Le is super confident. I don't know if it borders on cocky. It's just a reassuredness you get about Tan Le, that he believes he's figured Martin out, and he believes that he presents a tougher challenge to Martin than anyone else has in the past. There are holes, though, that I see in Tan Le's game. When Tan Le throws his kicks, look for it on Friday. When Tan Le throws his kicks, especially to the body, I think he tends to drop his hands a little. I think he's more open for a counter left hook from Martin Nguyen rather than an overhand right. Let's hope that Tan Le, for his sake, can tighten that up, that when he throws the kick, he doesn't get too sloppy and leave himself open for Martin to come through with the left hand. I'm just saying, just putting it out there. But the intensity of this one, the heat this one has generated, I don't think I've ever seen heat like this in one championship in my over 3 years of being here. It's just, there's something palpable between these two guys.
Michael, I want to talk a little bit about something George brought up. You know, we're all old school here, and when we do a little tail of the tape, normally we're talking about fighters where we say things like, he was a collegiate wrestler who picked up striking, or a jiu-jitsu practitioner that picked up wrestling along the way. He brought up the Lee family, and these are people that have been doing martial arts from the moment they could start to walk. Now you're seeing these fighters that are coming in 18, 21 years old. Is this the future of the sport, at least on that end of the world? Are you seeing more and more of that? And are we eventually just going to get that where it's just a purebred martial artist?
I think that what I really like about one championship and about a lot of the martial arts here in Asia is that it's still very style oriented. You get back to very much that old school, like you're talking about, of style versus style. Okay, you can have striking contest between boxer and wushu stylist. You can have a ground contest between Sambo and BJJ. You can have a Muay Thai guy against a karate guy. So that sort of pure martial arts style is still there. Are we moving towards more hybrid martial artists? For sure. It's the evolution of martial arts, competitive martial arts. It has to be that way. I mean, everybody cross-trains. Nobody sticks to one style. Yes, certain styles are more prominent. For example, let's say Edward Folayang, who's competing on Friday night against Antonio Caruso, former lightweight world champion, but still the wushu is the predominant striking style of Edward. And if you know wushu, you know the little side kicks, you know the inside-outside thigh kicks, you know the back fist, you know the hands in close. He's very much a proponent of that wushu, but he incorporates wrestling and BJJ and boxing and kickboxing into that, becoming more hybrid every time we see him. But for the youngsters coming up, to answer your question a little more specifically, I believe for the youngsters, the ones that are going to get signed when they're 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, they're going to be more hybrid. because that's the way of the world over the last 10 years, since most of them started doing martial arts, for real, knowing they wanted to focus on competition. One example is Victoria Lee, just signed with One Championship. She's 16 years old. She's a hybrid martial artist. You can't bottle her as a karateka who does a bit of wrestling, or a BJJ who does some Muay Thai. She's a hybrid. She's doing everything. She's wrestling, BJJ, pancration, boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai. She's bringing it all together. So I think that when it comes to the older fighters that are mid-20s and beyond, it's still very much style specific in One Championship, and I love that. For the younger guys, it's very much they're becoming hybrids, because that's just the way it is.
Michael, to do your job, you have to be just very concentrated, a professional all the time, but you even take that to another level. So I want to ask you this question. If you were to look up in the crowd and 250 people, is there one person on planet Earth that you could think of that if you locked eyes, it might even rattle you just for a second, just throw you off your game just for a second, where you go, oh my God, is that The Rock or anybody like that?
Oh man, I've never been asked that question. That's a great question, Goes. Man, someone sitting in the crowd. You know what? If all those years ago commentating Danny Manus on Access TV could not rattle me, the 2 times I commentated him, with Pat Miletich laughing on one side, floor manager laughing the other side, CEO of the network, Andrew Simon, laughing behind me, nowhere else to look but concentrate, that I don't think anyone I could see in that 250 could rattle me. Would I get excited? Yes. Man, imagine I saw the ghost of Gorilla Monsoon in those 250, my idol. I'd be excited, of course. If I saw The Rock, that'd be cool, but no one would rattle me. If Danny Manus couldn't rattle me, no one would rattle me.
Let me try. What about if you saw the Pope and he just kind of gave you a blessing? Would that rattle you? Or if you saw Diego Maradona and he goes to you like that? Because for those that don't know, Schiavello's not the biggest Maradona fan. So would either of those two rattle you?
Yeah, well, I've met Maradona a few times, and he might do that, but he's only like 4'11". I reckon I could take him. The Pope, hey, I'll take the blessing. I'll take as many blessings as I can get. I've had a lot of blessed things in my life. So if you want to keep throwing me blessings, by all means.
Check this out, boys.
Oh, hello. That's an oldie. That was from when we did Junkie Radio a number of years ago. My word.
You
know what? That photo was taken in Lyon, France, commentating an event there on Access TV. You could still see, if you look close to that photo, some white hairs in my goatee, because only a few weeks before, a month before, I'd interviewed Hulk Hogan and dyed my goatee blonde for the Hulk Hogan interview. So there's still traces of it in that goatee. And those clothes I'm wearing in that photo, here's an interesting story, George. Those clothes were all bought 2 days before that event, because my luggage never arrived in France. And Daryl Ewald, God rest his soul, Emmy Award-winning producer of ours on Access TV, took me to the shops in Lyon, France. There was only one shop for big fellas like myself that sold clothes my size, and he bought me a whole new wardrobe, and they're the clothes I'm wearing in that photo. So there's quite a story to that photo.
Yeah, that's awesome. You gave it to us as a gift. It hung in our studio for a long time, but when COVID came along, we had to empty the studio. The studio's still there and it's awaiting us. We're just not ready to go back yet because we still have to mask up. And of course, doing our job with a mask just doesn't work. But we certainly didn't want to lose many of the prized possessions that we had been given. And so we brought this one home and we stare at it there in the garage along with some of the other memorabilia. But I figured I'd bust it out because I kind of figured there was a story there with that big old collar. It looked European. It looked like it had pizzazz. But let's finish up real quick here. I'm sure it's pretty busy for you, so we're very appreciative of the time. Michael, when you think of the women's strawweight division, there's a lot of natural skill there. These young ladies can go for days. 25 minutes is no problem. They're all tough as nails. It doesn't matter what weight class. But as you casually go down to the lower weight classes, some of that knockout power goes away. But not with these two young ladies, Tiffany Teo and Zhang Nan. Hopefully I pronounced the name correctly. Both of them, if you just look at their last 5 fights, I mean, they are putting people out, whether by submission, but a lot of KOs there, a lot of power. We can't blink on this one either.
Man, this one could be the sleeper of the night. Zhang Jinnan has been an awesome champion. She is the one that brought the age of China into one championship. She was the first Chinese one championship world champion. She's been waving the flag. She planted the flag on the top of the Everest for everyone else to follow. And the Chinese athletes in one championship, particularly over the last 18 months, have come along in leaps and bounds, both in the mixed martial arts and in the One Super Series in Muay Thai and kickboxing. Zhang Jinnam, a former member of the Chinese national boxing team. That tells you a lot about the punching prowess of the woman they call the punching panda. She goes in there with these hands made of granite. She swings and she swings and she swings. And she's not so wild that she's just looping. She swings to connect. She's precise. She's hard. She's vicious. And she does not stop. She does not relent. I mean, she's the first lady who beat Angela Lee. She stopped the unstoppable Angela Lee. She punched Angela Lee in the midsection. And that was the beginning of the end for Angela, the body shot. It shows you how hard the hands are of the champion Zhang Jinnan. She's almost like a female Ivan Drago, just the way she approaches it. No mercy, no relent, doesn't speak much English at all, just goes in there focused on one thing, the annihilation of her opponent. She beat Tiffany soundly, but as I said earlier, almost 3 years ago, and Tiffany is a whole different, martial artist. She's gone 2-0 since then. She's got so many more tricks up her sleeves. And in those last 2 contests, we've seen the differences. We've seen the improved striking defense from Tiffany. This one, guys, could be the showstopper. It really could be the show stealer of the night in a card that is just full of showstoppers.
I hope Chatri Sityodtong is writing you some big checks, because I could honestly just go without sleep, wait and be ready at 5:30 a.m. Pacific on Friday and just get that popcorn or the beer or whatever and watch these fights. You've got me so pumped up, Michael. Outstanding job there breaking those down. That you definitely bring it in that department. All right, so let's finish up here with Goodnight Irene. Folks, you can go to goodnightirene.com, or you can go to the One FC shop. It is Michael Schiavello's book. It has already dropped. And I wanted to ask you, Michael, a couple questions. If you look at like the description, it talks about the schoolyard days of being bullied. I focused on those words. Was that something that obviously it moved you because there's a book that touches on that, but how long did that hold you back from, like, I guess, being able to finally just be comfortable with being Michael Schiavello to the success story that you are now?
Man, the hard thing is, George, is when you're bullied as a fat kid, and I was a fat kid, I was bullied at school and then bullied early in my career as well. And bullying goes on. I still get bullied online today. People tweet. People don't like your commentary, don't like something you do on TV. Oh, Schiavello, that fat ass. Schiavello, that blob. That's what they go to. They go to your weight. They go to your appearance. But you learn to live with it, and I learned to deal with it. And sadly, there's a lot of grown-up kids and kids not yet of adult age that aren't dealing with it, and that have been in very bad spots and feel really bad about themselves and their lives and where they're at, and thinking that they can't get beyond that. And so writing the book, I wanted to send a really big social message. I mean, there's so many celebrity stories in here. Seagal's in here, Van Damme, Jackie Chan, Sugar Ray Leonard, Dana White, Joe Rogan, George Foreman. They're all in here. So, they're all there. But more important than those, a social message I wanted to send is that no matter your situation in life, no matter what you think about yourself, and if you're suffering from adversity, that people are bullying you, okay, people are telling you can't do this, you can't do that, you're fat, you're too skinny, you've got acne, you've got no hair, you're ugly, whatever people tell you, you've got to believe in yourself. You've got to have confidence in yourself. You've got to know that within yourself is the ability to transcend, to get out of that pit they're trying to put you in. And I did that through my voice and through my writing. And I held on to those two things all those years. The doubters, the naysayers, people in the media industry that said you can never work on TV. You don't have the right look. You're not blonde-haired and blue-eyed. You don't have an Anglo-Saxon name. They'll never have you on television. Well, here I am now, the most watched Australian commentator on the planet. I did it. And I'm still just your normal bloke, your normal Michael Schiavello. I don't do anything extraordinary. You guys know me from living in Las Vegas for years. I'm just the guy that goes to pub trivia on Tuesday nights, the guy that hangs out with his family and goes to movies. That's me. So I wanted to send this message to everybody that don't think there's no way out, because there is. And in this book, I tell you how I got out. I tell you, I show you my pathway, how I did it. So for me, George, that was really the most important part of writing the book.
Well, I'm glad I definitely zeroed in on those words in the description, because like you said, there are some great interviews there that you did during your time there with HDNet, which became Access TV. Voice Versus was awesome. I mean, it was well received. It was loved. And you definitely got all them big superstars like the ones you mentioned, and probably another 10 that you didn't mention. So folks, check out the book, Goodnight Irene. Go to goodnightirene.com. And of course, follow Michael on Twitter at Schiavello Voice for some follow-up there. But yeah, that's so cool that you delivered that message to our audience, because it is tough times. And I think a lot of us, because I'll be honest with you, Michael, I've been bullied, but I think I also bullied. And, sometimes, man, some of this stuff doesn't even hit you till you're an adult. Like you're reading a story about something in the newspaper or somebody's book like yourself. And then all these things come back to you and hit you, and you realize, I'm that jerk, or it happened to me. And if we can communicate that to kids at an earlier age, because I just don't know if kids and their parents are always talking like they should, or little kids and their bigger brothers or sisters or whatever, but communication is so important, so when people like yourself, super successful and famous people, like yourself, can write a book and send that type of message, it's tremendous. And I know a lot of people are going to appreciate it.
George, let me tell you just one last thing on that point, is that, for kids that are watching this, and adults with children who are watching this, and adults themselves who are watching this and have problems where they're suffering that adversity, the number one thing you must do, you've got to identify it first. That's a problem with a lot of people, is their inability to identify it. And a lot of people suffer anxiety. And I talk about, bouts of anxiety that I've had in the book as well. People suffer depression. People go through these things and they're like, well, I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know why I am this way, but you do. It's in here. It's buried. It's in your subconscious, but it's still in there. The secret, I think, is to identify it, to really sit down, think about it, and go, okay, there was the stem of the problem. There's the inception point. That's what happened. And once you can identify that, George, and goes, then you can go about remedying it and getting on top of it and really powering forward. But until you can identify those factors, those triggers, whatever you want to call them, they're always going to be there eating away at you.
And of course, the last thing I wanted to say is, it all comes off in your work. Like Goz says, one of the best in the world, not just in combat sports, but all of sports. Seriously, we've watched a lot of entertainment over the years, a lot of play-by-play guys in every sport you can think of, and you make everything feel like the Super Bowl, whether it's the first fight of the night or, of course, the main event. So kudos to you, man. All these years that you've been doing this, you've never really mailed it. You've never mailed it in. Every single fight is the Super Bowl. So that's amazing.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. And you know what? Like I said, it's so nice to be talking to you guys again. I've always said MMA Junkie Radio, #1, my choice. And you guys bring up such great topics and great interviews. And we've been friends for a long time. And it's a big thrill for me when they said today that you guys wanted to interview me. I was like, yep, clear my schedule. I've got to do this with the boys. It's fantastic. Thank you so much, George and Goz. As always, guys, it's an absolute pleasure. And everybody, tune in. The boys will give you the details again for one championship inside the Matrix, 4 world title matches. another 2 matches on top of that, including Ritu Phogat on the card. If you're a fan of Indian wrestling, you'll know the entire Phogat family. She is a phenom, undefeated. She's out again against a very tough Cambodian, Nusay Prov. It's going to be an awesome night of action.
Oh, yeah. I'll be watching. I'll be tweeting. I can't wait. Thank you so much, Mr. Michael Schiavello. And we're going to do this definitely more often. I can't believe we waited this long to do this. That's our bad. Accept our apologies. But good luck on Friday. I'm sure it's going to be a tremendous show.
Thanks, guys. Love you. And thank you all to the MMA Junkie listeners. Thank you.